Congratulations, you made it to the Solomon Project, where it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep that counts. I'm your host, Richard Burns. We are currently on I-78 in Pennsylvania. This is a toll road. If I'm not mistaken, the most expensive toll road in the country. Maybe in the entire world. Maybe in the entire solar system. That's pretty big. Thank you for acknowledging that it's big. Thank you. Water. Sorry about the wipers. It's raining, so don't have much of a choice. I had another wonderful live. New faces popping in, coming up to the panel, offering new and exciting ideas, new and exciting thoughts. It was absolutely wonderful. Shout out to Yolanda from the Brit family. She came in for the first time. Went up to the panel and laughed. She actually laughed. Very grateful that she showed up. I met her through Brandon of Palm Beach. She had a live. Oh no, it was Brandon's live, and that's where I met her. I met her in Brandon's live. And because of her participation, I found her interesting. And throughout the conversation, and because of some of the stuff that I was commenting on, I think she got curious and wanted to know. She must have said something to herself, something in the order of, what the hell is wrong with this guy? And decided to pay me a visit. Now she knows what's wrong. And that's probably why she was laughing. But we had a good time. Thank you, Yolanda. And the usual suspects showed up too, with the exception of one, which I was concerned about that. Double D. Although Double D has been busy lately. He's got big plans. So those plans might have kept him too busy. And he didn't show up. But he was definitely missed. Brandon didn't show up, he was definitely missed. But everybody else showed up that usually shows up. Justin Bieberlake showed up. If you come to my live and see his profile picture, you'll know what I'm talking about, okay? He looks like a cross between, well, his profile does, looks like a cross between Justin Timberlake and Justin Bieber. So I named him Justin Bieberlake. Yeah. We assign names, nicknames, all kinds of names on my channel. Now let's get to the heart of the matter. Attitude of gratitude. I've heard that before. When I was in the world of finance, I've come across some motivational speakers, and lately some motivational speakers have been popping up on my YouTube channel. And there was again, attitude of gratitude. An important detail for those who don't know me well: I'm not a fan of transactional individuals. And throughout the video, at some point, I'll explain why. Should I explain it now? Well, upon listening to these motivational speakers who are encouraging people, for the most part, to participate in business, many of them are encouraging people into participating in multi-level marketing. Interesting, what I discovered recently, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, here in the United States, the number one group and the number one state where multi-level marketing is used is Utah, amongst the Mormons. Ain't that interesting? I thought it was interesting. Going back to the matter at hand. Yeah. Going back to the matter at hand. Attitude of gratitude. These motivational speakers are talking about expressing or adopting an attitude of gratitude for selfish reasons. Selfish reasons. I got into a major debate with a couple of former college buddies about selfishness. To me, selfishness has a negative connotation. For me, I understand their viewpoint. I understand what they were trying to convince me of, but I'm not convinced. The word itself has negative connotations. Whether or not it could be used in a sentence where it's not, I don't know. I don't see it. I don't think so. If you do, please comment below. Let me know. And by the way, in the description below, anyone who's interested in either getting involved in the stock market, and this is not financial advice, but anyone who's interested in participating in the stock market, whether it be the first time or maybe they're already participating in one way, shape, or form, either through their workplace retirement account, or maybe you just want to take control of another portion of your money or all of your money, and you want to, what does that say? Wipers on, headlights on. Okay, yeah, I got them both. Check. If you're looking for a platform to help you participate in the stock market with an immense amount of freedom to pick and choose how you want to manage your own money, well, there's a link below to a favorite app of mine, a favorite brokerage of mine, which is Webull. Webull will give you up to 20 free stocks. The key word being up to. And by the way, yes, we're in a tunnel. This is one of 4 tunnels here on I-78. One of the most, if not the most expensive toll road in the country. So if you're an owner-operator, you might want to take a detour and take a different route. You might wind up traveling an extra 30-50 miles, but the amount of money that you will save will be really big. And we're exiting one tunnel only to get into another tunnel right away. All right, let me stop with the distractions. So they're talking about an attitude of gratitude for the sole purpose of enhancing yourself. Again, I'm not a fan of that approach. And if we really wanted to adopt a real attitude of gratitude, I suspect we would acknowledge a lot of people in our lives that we don't even consider when it's time to express some gratitude. Think about it. How often has someone not consider your efforts? Or how often have you heard of a child not acknowledging the efforts that their parents made for them? Not having an attitude of gratitude means potential pain and insult to your loved ones. To your loved ones. There's an ED at the end. To your loved ones. A wife who takes it upon herself to wake up early and make sure her husband is fed before he goes off to work, even when she has a job. A thank you, maybe. And don't think for 1 second I'm not guilty of that, okay? But if you want to talk about adopting an attitude of gratitude, it shouldn't just be for the sake of your pocket. And not showing appreciation for a loved one, could be family, could be a friend, can be so incredibly painful. And there are people, there are transactional individuals that take advantage of that pain and manipulate these people. Now, can you really call the person that's with a transactional individual that does that as a loved one? I don't think the transactional individual is loving anybody but themselves at that point. Where it becomes manipulative and very painful is with this. I had a coworker that used to have a part-time job. She used to work at a battered women's shelter, battered women's shelter. Keep in mind, when the term battered and another human being is associated with that word, I'm almost 100% sure most people think about women being battered. The truth is, there are a lot of men that are battered as well, although you don't hear about it. When it came to battered women, in my ignorance, I had no sympathy because I could not understand. If your man is treating you that poorly, If he strikes you for the most insignificant things, or can it even be justified? If he strikes you and you're still with him, I have two sisters that are like that. Now, one definitely was a case of battery. Definitely, no doubt about it. My sister never left him. Never left him. And what usually happens is that family member, friends, they try to intervene only to get stabbed in the back by the woman that they thought needed help. She might have even asked for help. And yet she turns around and forgives the man over and over again. Again, this also happens to men. Men also find themselves in these situations. So, in my ignorance, I had no sympathy because I didn't really understand that. To me, she should have been gone. She should have packed up and left a long time ago. But it wasn't until my coworker explained how battery actually works, how these battered people become victims. And eventually I will make the connection back to the attitude of gratitude. Now here it is. The psychological and emotional pain of what goes on in that type of relationship is so great. You see, the victims aren't just being hit. They're being psychologically devastated. Could you imagine? All right, think of this, right? You are in love with someone. You're in love with them. You love this person. And you take the time to do something special for them. And it's obviously something special. Something that required some time. Something that required some type of sacrifice, however small it was. I made a mistake and I did this once. Instead of showing appreciation, what they do instead is berate you, insult you. I caught myself doing that once. My wife bought me a pair of slippers. They happen to be thongs. I don't wear thongs. What I should have done was acknowledge the fact that she thought about me. Instead, I expressed my dissatisfaction for the slippers being thongs. I heard her when I did that. She thought about me. I learned my lesson because I didn't like seeing my wife in pain like that over something that, in all honesty, was callous on my behalf. My thought process was, you're supposed to know me by now. We've been married for years, and you don't know that I don't wear thongs? Not those thongs. The slippers. Yeah, I wear my thongs on backwards, but those are different thongs. But the slippers. I learned my lesson from that. There are relationships where a lesson is not learned at all. Where that is constant. A person arrives from home, immediately, here's tunnel number 3, immediately insulting his wife. I'm thinking about a particular relationship like that right now. He arrives at home and doesn't consider the fact that they have, I don't know, five children, and it's her by herself at home. And he arrives home, and first thing he does is insult her because the apartment is not up to his standards, and just insults her. That's inconsiderate, hurtful. So when we talk about attitude of gratitude, so that's what's at the core, before I continue about attitude of gratitude, that is what's at the core of battered men and women. And they stay because they're waiting for that all-important moment in their life where the person that they love demonstrates at least the smallest amount of gratitude, the tiniest, some acknowledgement, a little bit of acknowledgement, a little recognition. Those insults, that lack of consideration, that lack of acknowledgement, cut them so deep that they're willing to stick around. Now, I'm not a psychologist. My coworker, if I remember correctly, did have a degree in psychology, and that's the explanation I can remember from, what was it, 2007. So we're talking about close to 20 years ago. I may not be accurate. That's what I remember about battered men and women. What makes them stay, what makes them not want to leave, that what makes them tolerate physical attacks is waiting on that day when that person that they love says thank you. Thank you for going out of your way. Thank you for thinking about me. And the icing on the cake, you already know, I love you. That's icing right there. That is sweet. Attitude of gratitude coming from these motivational speakers that I encountered, whether it be on video or in real life, feeds into that whole transactional narrative. So when we talk about an attitude of gratitude, again, I'm going to repeat this again, it shouldn't be about making your pockets fat. It should be about appreciating everybody around you for even the tiniest thing that they do for you. It's understood. We get into disagreements, we get into arguments. We even come to fisticuffs. But when a person goes out of their way or a person thinks about you, that's the time to express that attitude of gratitude. I'm not going to hold you up much longer. I'm about to express some gratitude at not this service plaza, but I think 2 more service plazas down. I think y'all know what I'm talking about. So listen, stay fresh. I know the professor hates when I say keep it moist. Keep it profitable, okay? Now, if you're on foot, I'm just gonna ask Kitty to come scoop you up. Kitty! Arabamda seviyorum çift kalem aça. Göremedi kimseden fayda. İşler